Welcome to Mets Baseball 85, brought to you by Busch Beer, the beer with a taste as smooth as its name. By Nissan, builders of technologically advanced cars and trucks for over 50 years. For drivers who demand quality, the name is Nissan. By Manufacturers Hanover, the financial source worldwide. And by Burger King. Come on in and try the big beefy taste of Burger King's new Whopper sandwich. Live from Shea Stadium in New York, it's Mets Baseball 85, as today, the Mets take on the Chicago Cubs. And pitching for the Cubs, rookie Derek Botelho, 0-1 with an 11.57 ERA. Going for the Mets, it's Ed Lynch, who is 9-5 with a 2.87 ERA.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Kiner, along with Tim McCarver and Steve Zabriski, all set for the final game of this three-game set with the Chicago Cubs. The Mets have won the first two. As a matter of fact, the Mets have defeated the Cubs 5 straight ball games going back to Chicago. Earlier in the year, they won 5 straight from the Cubs. Last year, the Mets won only 6 of 18 from the Cubs. This year, they have won 10 of 13. So the Mets winning against the Cubs yesterday and actually losing a half game to the St. Louis Cardinals, who are now tied with the Mets. Cardinals winning a doubleheader against the Philadelphia Phillies.
If you remember back in spring training, everybody was concerned with the Mets' young pitching with Dwight Gooden and, of course, Ron Darling. Who do you have after that? And 2 months into the season, nobody was hitting. And obviously, the Mets were having their problems. But yesterday was an example of how their game is really meshed. They played little ball, they played big ball, they played pitcher's ball, and they played defensive ball, and that adds up to good baseball.
And that adds up to the Mets being in first place and tied with the St. Louis Cardinals. Right now, let's go down to Steve Zabriski and his special guest.
Thanks, Ralph, and hi, everybody. Both the Cubs and the Mets have had injury problems this year, and the main reason that the Mets are 11 games in front of Chicago going into today is that the Mets have been better at overcoming them. The Mets have had help from good young talent that's been able to come up and produce. Chicago does not have that young talent that's able to come in and pick up the slack.
Well, Jimmy, he's had a lot of injuries this year, but when you lose your top 3 starters for any length of time, you're really going to be hurting. And, you know, last year, Chicago, I think, went for a quick fix, and they traded a lot of their young pitchers, a lot of their young talent, off to get guys like Sutcliffe and Eckersley, and now these guys are hurt. They don't have the young talent to come up and help them out like I do. I've had guys like the young guy that just brought up this year, Aguilar, has done an outstanding job. Sid Fernandez came out of our system, and but the big thing that's hurting him right now is losing his big 3.
And as far as New York is concerned, Cubs manager Jimmy Fry, a former coach here, is in a good situation as far as assessing the Mets' current prospects.
Right now, they got a lot of things going in their favor. From the time that I was here, of course, I think that Gary Carter has been the big difference in the lineup. We had just gotten Keith Hernandez the last year that I was in New York. He made a big difference. Now Gary Carter is also a guy that I think has made a big difference from 84 to 85. With all the other good things that have happened with the young kids that they brought up to the big leagues. Dykstra, of course, is playing well now in Mookie's spot. Bachman is a much improved player. They got a lot of good things. The pitching staff, of course, Gooden is the big difference. I mean, this guy's a Superman. He's going to be a great pitcher. And I think that they've got some stability in their pitching staff, probably from the fact that they can go to the bullpen and bring somebody like McDowell in there 2 or 3 times a week to keep you in a ball game if the starter doesn't do it. So at least what I've seen in the last 2 series, it looks to me like right now their offense is at its peak. They may cool off a little bit from here to there, but I think they've got a good offensive ball club, and I think their pitching's going to be good enough.
No pun intended, of course. Gooden, obviously, is good enough. Anyway, we're back with the start of the final of this 3-game series here between the Mets and the Cubs from Shea right after this for Chevrolet.
Well, Ed Lynch, the starting pitcher for the Mets, he comes in with a record of 9-5, an earned run average of 2.87. Look at those walks. Only 19 and 141 innings. He has struck out 42 and given up 129 base hits. So Ed Lynch with a record of 9-5 on the mound for the Mets.
And the lineup for the Cubs, Bob Dernier leading off and playing center field. Second baseman and last year's MVP, Ryan Sandberg, playing second. Left fielder Gary Matthews batting third. The Bull, Leon Durham at first, batting fourth. Keith Moreland, who leads the Cubs in game-winning RBIs, in right field, batting fifth. Jody Davis with 3 home runs in his last 3 games, batting sixth. Third baseman Ron Cey back in there after a rest yesterday. He's batting seventh. Shortstop Larry Boa with almost 2,200 hits, and that is really an amazing career for a guy who was cut twice from his high school baseball team. On the mound, Derek Botelho, and of course he'll be batting ninth.
And the defense for the Mets, Hernandez, Backman, Santana, and Johnson, first to third in the infield. Foster, Dykstra, Strawberry, left to right in the outfield. Carter, the catcher. Checking out the standings, the Mets and Cardinals tied for first. They lead Montreal in third place by 5, Chicago by 11. To give you an idea about 1969, when the Mets were the world's champions on August 13th. August 13th, they were 9.5 games behind the Cubs. So it's not over for the Cubs, even though they're 11 games out. And it's not over for the other ball clubs. Toronto leading the Yankees by 7, Detroit by 10, Boston by 12, California leading Kansas City by 2.5, Oakland by 3, and Chicago by 8. And the Dodgers leading Cincinnati by 6, San Diego by 6, and Houston by 14. So we're all set to go. As Bob Dernier steps into the batter's box, Dernier hitting .231. He has 1 home run, 14 RBIs in this overall series. And the first pitch, strike 1. Bob Dernier, he has hit .231 against the Cubs this year. And he's hitting at .242 for the year. And Lynch coming back and missing. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jim Fry, the manager of the Chicago Cubs, the manager of the year last year when the Cubs won the Eastern Division Championship. And the off-speed pitch by Ed Lynch, fouled off, 1-2. Ed has a lifetime record against the Cubs of 7 wins and 2 losses. 2 of those victories this year, no losses. And he has finally evened his record in the major leagues to 500. He has won 37 and lost 37 with his 9-5 year this year. And the slider is fouled back and out of play. Dernier out of action earlier this year with a foot operation. He is an outstanding defensive center fielder and also has great speed on the bases. 20 stolen bases out of 26 attempts. The on-deck batter, Ryan Sandberg. 1-2 the count. And the fastball foul back. Another outstanding crowd on hand here today. And the umpires for the game today, Fred Brocklander behind home plate, Ed Montague, the umpire at first base, Steve Ripley at second base, and the umpire at third is Dutch Renner. Again, the 1-2 pitch. And the curveball, and strike 3.
This is the curveball. It's not the slider. You can see the bigger hump in the breaking ball. Whenever you as a viewer sees that big hump, it's a curveball. Whenever you see parallel movement to the ground and going away from a right-hander, from a right-handed pitcher, it's a slider.
And Sandberg, the batter. Ryan hitting .293 for the year with 15 home runs, 40 runs batted in. He also a good base runner with a total of 33 stolen bases in 39 attempts, and again the curve. Sandberg a good day yesterday against Dwight Gooden with 3 base hits. Overall against the Mets, he's hitting .333 this year with 17 hits, 2 of them home runs. And the slider bounced right back to the mound. So 2 men out. Lynch picking up his first 2 batters. As you look at Dwight Gooden, who has now won 12 straight for the New York Mets, tying American League Ron Guidry, who had 12 straight wins earlier this year.
And the Gator going for the Yankees up in Boston today.
Good now with a record of 18-3. And a broken bat blooper to right field. It'll be the first hit of the ball game. So Matthews, hitting at .218 for the year, picks up a base hit, number 37 for him this season. He's had 8 home runs and 22 RBIs, and he gets a bleeder.
Well, Lynch had gotten Bob Dernier on the breaking ball away and Ryan Sandberg on the breaking ball away, and now he tries to come inside on Gary Matthews. But one of the big reasons that Ed Lynch has been so successful this year, he has been coming in on hitters. And there again, I think Carter has really helped him in that, both Darling and Lynch.
Lynch has won 5 straight decisions, and he's had 2 complete games in those 5 decisions. His first pitch to Leon Durham. Durham hitting .280, 11 home runs, 43 runs batted in. Matthews a short lead at first base. And the fastball. Lynch has averaged only 1.21 walks per 9 innings. That's 4th in the National League in control. Dennis Eckersley leads the major leagues with a 0.92 walks per 9 innings, and that pitch fouled off in the count 1-2. Incidentally, Eckersley has just been put on the 15-day disabled list. Ruthven goes on the 21-day disabled list. And Trout has been moved from the 15-day disabled list to the 21-day disabled list. Ruthven with a broken toe hit by that line drive off of the bat of Keith Hernandez in the first game of this series. Look out. 2-2. So the Cubs continue to be plagued by injuries.
Eddie went away, and now this purpose pitch inside, and that's another example of how Ed Lynch has pitched inside.
You have to get their attention.
You got to pitch inside to be effective.
And Durham fouls off the pitch that was away, kind of reaching for it. And that inside pitch before established the outside part of the plate for Ed Lynch.
So true.
Constant adjustment on the mound. You have to be in and out more so than up and down. And again, the outside pitch. So Eddie going outside, and the count stays at 2-2 in the foul ball. Durham is not as tough to pitch to in this ballpark as he is in Wrigley Field. In Wrigley Field, the closer left center field makes it possible for Durham to drive the ball out of the ballpark in Wrigley Field. Not so here. He really has to hit it out here in left center. And again, he reaches for the ball. So after Eddie Lynch came in tight under the mustache of Leon Durham, the outside pitches, 3 of them in a row. The on-deck batter, Keith Moreland.
To reinforce your point about Bull Durham, he has only 7 home runs in the last 2 years on the road.
He is tough at Wrigley Field.
He had 23 last year, only 4 on the road.
Now back inside, it just does miss. And it's 3-2. And there, Durham looking outside almost gets KO'd on the inside pitch. That's the in and out of pitching. Matthews, a runner at first base. 3-2. He'll be running with the pitch. Hernandez backs off the bag for more defensive room. Runner goes, and the ball is fouled off. So Lynch back with a fastball and a foul ball, and the count stays at 3-2. Durham 2 for 8 in this series. Overall, he's hitting .343 against the Mets with 12 hits, 1 of them a home run. And it's popped up. Glenn Dykstra, the center fielder. And that retires the side. 1 hit, 1 left. The score at the end of 1/2 inning. The Cubs nothing, the Mets coming up. Now here's a word from Busch Beer. And the starting pitcher for the Cubs, Derek Botelho, with a record of 0-1. The loss to the Mets. He has an earned run average 11.57 because he's worked only 4.2 innings in the major leagues. He's walked 3 and given up 8 base hits. Derek Botelho pitched in the American League very briefly, was brought up from the minor leagues, and he made his first major league start, I should say National League start, against the New York Mets. He was 11-7 at Iowa before coming up to the majors.
And the lineup Derek will be facing: Len Dykstra, the center fielder, leading off, followed by Wally Backman, the second baseman. Keith Hernandez, the player of the month in July, batting third. Catcher Gary Carter will hit fourth. Darryl Strawberry batting fifth. And you think a guy's locked in. He's going to be entertaining today to watch. He is hitting every ball on the nose. George Foster in left field batting sixth. Howard Johnson, the third baseman, will hit seventh. Rafael Santana batting eighth. And Ed Lynch, who is 3 for 36 on the year, but has really helped himself with the bat by bunting quite frequently.
And defensively, the Cubs have Duran, Sandberg, Boa, and Say in the infield, first to third. Matthews, Denier, Moreland, left to right. In the outfield, Davis, the catcher. And we'd like to remind you this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Mets and WOR-TV, and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and WOR-TV is prohibited. Beautiful summer day here at Shea Stadium. The temperature in the low 90s, a little bit of humidity, a little bit too much, as a matter of fact. And you're looking at Len Dykstra.
Show you how well the Mets have been hitting. They got 3 guys in the on-deck circle at one time. They can't wait to get to the plate. And you really, you talk about how hitting is contagious, Ralph. These guys have that feeling. You're down in the clubhouse before the game. They have that confident feeling that they're going to win a ball game somehow.
And Len Dykstra, the leadoff. Len hitting .250 with 1 home run, 15 RBIs. The infield shortens up against his speed, and he takes outside for ball 1. Mets are hitting as a team at an average of .252. They have raised their team batting average 30 points since July. July 4th, it all started in that 19-inning ball game against Atlanta. The Mets winning the ball game in 19 innings.
That game started July 4th and ended well into July 5th.
3:55 in the morning. Longest game to an ending, the latest ending in Major League Baseball history. And the first pitch in the strike zone, it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Dykstra 2 for 5 in this series. And another one out of the strike zone, 3 balls and 1 strike.
That game in Philadelphia, excuse me, Ralph, the game in Philadelphia started. The Cardinals over the Phillies 1-0. Phillies batting bottom of the first inning.
And if you just tuned in, the Cardinals won a doubleheader last night to move into a tie with the Mets. The Mets winning yesterday, but losing ground to the Cardinals. 3-1 pitch. Ball 4, and Dykstra walks. Len Dykstra doing his thing. He can get on base. Fine leadoff batter for the Mets. He has filled in admirably for Mookie Wilson. Now Wally Backman, who is a red-hot batter, coming up. Wally is hitting .294, 1 home run, 25 RBIs. He has hit in 9 straight ball games and hit .415 over the 9 games with 9 runs batted in. And again, a pitch out of the strike zone.
Larry Boa right there getting the sign from Ryan Sandberg, the second baseman. See that shortstop constantly looking at the second baseman, and he gives him the open mouth saying that you take it in case the runner runs, and if he has the closed mouth, it's me. I'll take it.
And that's
me or you.
Very important on runners attempting to go towards second base, and also on hit and run plays to know who's going to be covered.
Sign is flashed. Sandberg just gave Boa either the open or the closed mouth.
I wonder how Boa likes the fact that Sandberg, who is much younger and much less experienced, giving the signs as who is the cover.
I think probably the reason is Sandberg's a little closer to second base and probably has a better shot at the sign.
Runner, big jump. The pitch is taken. No chance at all. Len Dykstra stealing second base off the pitcher, no doubt about it.
You talk about a jump. When a catcher gets a ball like this, you might as well throw it to third and head him off.
Oh, man.
Have no chance. No throw. So obviously it was a closed mouth there, Sandberg covering.
You had a good story you told earlier about Gene Mauch figured out how to read the jugular vein, right?
In 1972, we'll try to mix this story in with the action here.
Back when taking that pitch to allow the stolen base, and now the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. And the fastball missed.
Back in 1972, when I was the hitter, Gene said if ever I yelled your number out, then the second baseman is covering. In other words, you receive the hit and run sign from the third base coach, and then if you hear your number, the second baseman is covering. And the way he read it was he would read the vein in the neck. If the mouth was open, the vein in the neck expanded. That may be getting too technical, but Gene Mauch was never wrong, and I picked up about 6 hits because of that.
You knew who was covering the second and hit through the hole.
If you don't hear your number, the shortstop's covering. It's really a very simple device, but the fact was that Mauch could see the vein expand in the neck, thereby allowing him to know when the second baseman was covering.
And as a hitter, you could read that. You can tell if the second baseman's covering and your left-hand batter, you figure that they'd be throwing a fastball.
That's right.
And if it's a off-speed pitch, a curveball, it would be the reverse. And the other fielder would be covering. So Bachman struck out.
One of the few times that Wally Bachman has failed to move the runner along. And now Dykstra at second base with 1 out.
And Botelho will be pitching to Keith Hernandez. Hernandez hitting .302 now with 8 home runs, 66 runs batted in. And Keith has been unbelievable. In his last 34 ball games, he's batted .398 with men in scoring position. He's batted .512. He's had 1 home run and 29 RBIs in his last 34 ball games, raising his average from .251 to .302. And a good curve. It's just out of the strike zone. Keith in this series has had 3 hits and 9 times up. He has not had a home run against the Cubs, but he has driven in 7 in the 13 games played. And there you see Len Dykstra being held by the shortstop Larry Bowa. And the fastball a strike.
So you could read Larry Bowa's lips there. He said, "Watch me," which means that if Dykstra gets off another step or two, he'll use that daylight play. And anytime the pitcher sees daylight between the shortstop and the base runner at second, he turns to throw. What a great shot that is, huh?
And a play on at second, but no throw. Yep. The daylight play. Famous daylight play was Phil Macy picked off in the World Series at second with the umpire blowing the call. George Barr was the umpire. They called him safe, and Bob Fuller had the man picked off at second. Lou Boudreau covering on the plays in this ballpark right now, broadcasting for the Cubs. And then after the umpire blew the call, Tommy Holmes singled in the run to beat Feller 1-0 in the 1948 World Series. Feller never won a game in a World Series.
Boudreau was the playing manager then at the time, right?
1948, the playing manager of the Cleveland Indians.
See, Dykstra doesn't know how close Bowa is. Buddy Harrelson, the third base coach, his responsibility is to yell out, "You're all right, you're all right, you're all right," or "Get back." Those are the only things he can holler, and there's Buddy.
And Bowa, by playing so tight on Dykstra, leaves a hole there for Hernandez. And Keith misses the fastball, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. You have to give a little, take a little. If you're cheating to do something, you might get caught.
Can't be every place, can you?
That's right. And the good ball clubs know what's going on. The bad ones go through the motions. Buddy Harrelson trying to make sure he's heard with this noisy crowd here as he tries to give Dykstra all the help he can.
Only thing a runner at second base listens for is "Get back," and he keeps coming until he hears that, and it's up to the third base coach to say it in time so he doesn't get picked off.
And again, Botelho taking too much time, and Keith Hernandez backing out of the batter's box. Needless to say, this is an important game for the Cubs. They're 11 games out of first. They're not out of it. As Yogi would say, you're not out of it till you're out of it. But they are on the verge. And the fastball is hit foul into the stands. 2 balls, 2 strikes to count on Keith Hernandez.
Well, the Phillies picked up 1 in the bottom of the first. As a matter of fact, they're still hitting, so it's 1-1 St. Louis at Philadelphia. The Expos up on top of the Pirates 3-0, top of the second inning.
Bob Forrest pitching for the Cardinals in that ball game, and Sean Raleigh going for Philadelphia. Again, the 2-2 pitch hit into left center field, but not hard enough. Matthews right there, and he hauls it in. And Dykstra back to second base. So 2 men away.
Well, that beautiful compact swing of Keith Hernandez. Arms extended, the trigger back. Hit the ball fairly well, but got up under it a little bit too much.
Caught him a little bit behind it, and he didn't really get the good part of the bat and the ball.
Not a lot of extension on that swing. But sometimes you got to tip your hat to the pitcher. You got that little extra movement on it, little late pop.
Matter of timing, 2 men away, and Gary Carter the batter. Carter hitting .267, 14 home runs, 55 RBIs. And it's inside for ball 1. The most home runs ever hit by a Met catcher, 15. John Stearns had 15. Stearns now playing baseball in Denver, Colorado.
First baseman and batting .320, I understand.
And a drive to left field. It is high. Is it far enough? Going way back. It is gone off the back wall, and a home run for Gary Carter. Carter tying the Met record for home runs by a catcher with his 15th.
Well, to compare Keith Hernandez's swing with Gary Carter's swing, there's really no comparison. Hernandez actually took a better swing at his pitch than Carter did. But Carter is so strong, he muscled the ball out. He swung at that pitch with his arms. Curtain call for Gary Carter. Now watch that front side. That front side's out of there. The only thing left are his arms with which to hit. He's got some big arms, too, as you see. Man, that's strong.
And Matthews back to look. He almost gets hit as the ball comes off the back wall in back of the home run fence. So the Mets on top 2-0, and the batter is Darryl Strawberry. Strawberry hitting .273 with 16 home runs and 44 RBIs. And Strawberry hitting against Botelho in Chicago had 2 home runs and the 2 times he faced him. And the fastball is ball 2. Botelho now has worked a total of 5+ innings in the National League, and he has been reached for 3 home runs, 2 by Strawberry and 1 by Gary Carter. This is his 2nd major league start in the National League. And the pitch, ball 3, 3-0. So Botelho remembering Strawberry well, and that's not hard to believe.
That's exactly right. And I would imagine Darryl will have the hit sign right here. You want it right in that zone.
And it's too low, and Strawberry walks in 4 pitches. So a runner on with 2 men out. The Mets leading 2-0 in the bottom of the first inning. And Botelho will now be working to George Foster.
That's when you know you've arrived, when they pitch around you in the first inning with nobody on.
Foster, a home run in yesterday's ball game, now has a total of 17. He is the club leader in that department. He has driven in 59 runs with a .260 average. That's getting their 86th home run as Gary Carter put it downtown. The Cubs have had 88.
Last year, after 107 games, the Mets had 20 home runs fewer than they have right now. They had 66 last year going into their 108th game.
Strawberry a threat to steal. Darrell with 16 stolen bases. And he's running, and the pitch is taken. The throw by Davis is high, and Strawberry has another.
I don't think I've ever seen Darryl Strawberry dive into a bag or into home plate. But you talk about extension. I mean, when he gets down, he got down about halfway down there, but you hate to see a guy like Darryl Strawberry go in head first.
Especially after coming off that torn thumb ligament.
Yes, sir.
And that pitch on the stolen base inside for ball one, now ball two. So Botelho struggling here in the first inning. He's given up only one hit, but a two-run home run. He's walked two. Portuguese right-hander. Botelho was 2-1 in the American League.
That's right. He is of Portuguese descent, right?
Right. Well, I got a letter on his name. We were mispronouncing his name. Botelho is the way they say it should be pronounced in Portuguese, but he isn't living in Portugal.
No,
right now.
we're in New York now.
That's right. And now, fastball fouled off. If he wants to go over to Portugal, he can be called Botelho.
I don't think Lisbon has a major league team over there. Maybe expansion, huh?
They're getting ready now. Last complete game by the Cub pitching staff was on June 30th. Scott Sanderson. Boy, they have been decimated in their pitching department.
Their first four starters, the guys that they had to rely on, have missed 25 starts due to injuries. And right now they have 3 of the 4 on the DL. Trout, Eckersley, and Rick Sutcliffe.
The players that carried them to the National League Eastern Division Championship last year. Sutcliffe, of course, was the Cy Young Award winner. And he's on the DL. Trout, fine left-hander, pitched exceedingly well. And Eckersley in the second half of the season, I think, was 8-1. And Foster just does manage to get the end of the bat on that one. Then it's fouled off. So they count 2 balls, 2 strikes. Derek Botelho on the mound, originally drafted by the Phillies as a shortstop. And he comes back inside and misses. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Botelho was attained by the Cubs in 1979 along with Barry Foote, Ted Sizemore, Harry Mack, and Jerry Martin for Manny Trio, Dave Rader, and Greg Gross. And this one hit in the left center field. Near over there. He'll make it. And that retires the side. In the inning, 2 runs on 1 hit. There were 2 walks and 1 man left on base. The score at the end of 1. The Mets 2 and the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word from Manufacturers Hanover. We're going to the top of the second. The Mets leading 2-0. And for the Cubs, the leadoff batter will be Keith Moreland, the right fielder. Moreland hitting .287 for the year with 9 home runs, 63 runs batted in. Against the Mets this year, he's batted .340. He has always been a tough out for Met pitchers. And Ed Lynch with a fastball, it's fouled down. Moreland coming to the Cubs from Philadelphia. Started his career as a catcher. He has played first base, third base, and also the outfield. He still fills in occasionally behind the plate. And a good fastball. Strike 2.
Len Dykstra moving properly from left center to right center now with 2 strikes. I mean, way over there. Now they're moving Strawberry toward the line.
How about that? Talking about that for the whole year.
Yep.
As we mentioned, the Moreland was a right field hitter with 2 strikes. He really gives up and goes to right field. I don't mean giving up at the plate, but he gives up trying to pull. There's your outfield alignment with the 2-strike count. Right off the end of the bat, Lynch, who ran into Keith Hernandez in the previous start, this time takes the ball and stays out of the way. Similar type ball was hit down toward first base, and Hernandez and Lynch ran together. Now they're talking it over. They said, we don't want to do that again.
That's exactly right. A little cue shot right here, and Lynch was smiling at Hernandez, saying the same thing that happened in the 8th inning last Monday in Chicago will not happen again. That was funny. Keith was not bobbing that head up and down saying, I'm not going through that again, pal. You nailed me once, but not twice.
Ain't that dumb. So now 1 away. The dangerous Moreland out. And the batter will be Jody Davis. Davis batting .238 with 12 home runs, 44 RBIs. 2 home runs in this series against the Mets. He goes after the off-speed pitch. Davis has had 3 home runs against the Mets this year out of his total of 6 base hits. He had 2 of those home runs in Friday night's ball game off of Ron Darling. One and one the count. Davis in this series 4 for 8, so he's had a good series. Carter checking out to see whether Davis is trying to get the signs as he gives them. And this one hit deep to left field, but it is curving, and it's foul. Lynch has given up 14 home runs this year.
You're really at a disadvantage if you're a catcher and you weigh 200 pounds and the guy peeking back at you is about 6'4", 6'5", and weighs 230. That was the case with Joe Adcock, who used to peek. I used to say, sure, Joe.
Go ahead and look.
Go ahead. Be my guest. Here it is. You can shake me off if you want to. What are you going to say to a guy that big?
I'll tell you one thing. Adcock was one of the greatest guess hitters that ever played the game of baseball. And when he got his pitch and guessed right, look out. One game at Ebbets Field, he had 4 home runs, and his 5th time up, he doubled for 16 total bases in the ball game. Nobody's ever done that. The next day, his first at bat, he got hit right in the head.
It was a neck ball, I heard.
A neck ball.
Yep.
Because when you get that reputation of trying to take advantage by peeking, you also take a big chance of going on your back.
That is correct. That's why guys are not inclined to peek. But catchers still have to make sure. Check Carter out.
Almost got it there. But it's called a ball by Fred Brocklander, and the count goes to 3-2. Adcock used to also pull the old line when he got on first base. I want to get the bag straight now. Would you step off?
When he had the ball,
When he had the ball. The old college play. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Grounded slowly out to third. Howard Johnson has plenty of time, and he makes the play.
When you're a third baseman like this, you've got a lot of things to think about because you're running forward, and now you've got to throw back across your body, and the runner can sometimes interfere with your line of vision. A good play by Howard Johnson.
So 2 away, and that'll bring up Ron Cey. Cey hitting .223, 13 home runs, only 29 RBIs, and that's not the entire story. Ron Cey, who has been a very prolific home run hitter and RBI man, has had only 1 home run in his last 52 games, and he's driven in only 2 runs in his last 48. And the first thing you start to wonder, is this the end of his career? He has been around a long time. Also spent a long time in the minors before getting to the Dodgers. Been a fine ball player. And the off-speed pitch, called strike.
Yeah, with a young player, they'd say, well, we'll hang with him. He's just going through a bad year. But people are inclined to see. You see his home run total there. 6th on the all-time list for third baseman. But when you're older, they don't think you can bounce back. And that is not always the case.
A la Tony Perez.
Pete Rose.
Well, that goes without saying.
Well, I mean, you know, his last year in Philadelphia in 1983, he didn't even start 3 World Series games, sitting on the pine.
They had him written off, didn't they?
Yeah, playoff games. Now, how can you not start, when you look at him right now, how can you not start Pete Rose in a playoff or World Series game?
Line shot at Santana, and that will do it. 1, 2, 3 for Ed Lynch, and the score at the end of 1.5. The Mets 2 and the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word from Nissan. Well, we're going now to the bottom of the second. The Mets leading 2-0 on Gary Carter's 2-run home run in the first, and coming back in for the play-by-play, Tim McCarver.
All right, Ralph, the home runs, by the way, for the Mets leaders are bunching up. George Foster now with 17 home runs, Strawberry with 16, and Carter with 15. It's a little healthy competition there.
Strawberry with a lot less games played. He's played 61 games. Carter's playing in his 100th game today. Foster's playing in his 87th game.
Howard Johnson with 7 home runs, batting .227. Much better hitter left-handed. He's batting .244 from the left side, .157 as a right-handed batter. Slider from Derek Botelho is low, 1-0. 2-0 New York.
One of the things you look for in a batter, if he gets off to a bad start and then finishes strongly, that's a plus. If he gets off to a great start and finishes poorly, that's a minus.
2-0 to Howard Johnson.
Even though he might end up with the same average, if you're comparing two players, one might end up with the same average as the other. It's how you get there. If you get there at the end of the season coming up, very good sign. It means you mastered, or you're about to master, Major League pitching. The other way, the pitching has mastered you.
And you can make a case also, as it's 3-0 to Johnson, that the change of leagues is an adjustment. There is something to that. Howard hitting much better over his last month and a half. As a matter of fact, he's batting .295 over his last 29 games. So that reinforces your point. There's a strike, 3-1 to Johnson. Ground ball to second baseman Ryan Sandberg. 1 out. And the batter will be Rafael Santana. Rafi batting .256, 162 against the Cubs.
Coming to the plate.
He is 6 for 37 against Chicago this year.
Rafael Santana.
If before the season started, the Mets thought that they would have gotten a .256 average out of Santana, the way he plays shortstop, they'll take it in a minute.
Take it in a minute, and they have taken it. He's done an outstanding job at short. And those critics who said Jose Oquendo should be the shortstop are kind of in the background now.
Jose, unfortunately for Little Joe, is batting .207 at Louisville, the AAA affiliate of the Cardinals. 0-1 to Santana. 2-0 New York leads, bottom of the second.
Or unfortunately, he's playing behind Ozzie Smith.
So is Ivan De Jesus. By the way, that game in Philadelphia, 2-1 now. The Phillies over the Cardinals. Cardinals batting in the top of the third inning. Line drive to right. It might drop, and it does. So a little dunker by Santana. And Ed Lynch, the batter. Eddie probably up there to sacrifice.
Well, he got into his catching, and with that so-called inside-out swing, he's hit on the trademark on the bat, bloops it in the right, but they all look like line drives in the paper the next day.
Ralph, I guess it's true also that if you've got to play Larry Boa shallow in left field, then you've got to play Santana shallow in right field. How many times have we seen him dunk balls in this year?
Like that.
Good bunt by Lynch, and Durham wanted to go to second.
I think he should have.
Sacrifice successful.
He had to play at second base, and of course, being a left-handed thrower, it's a much easier play. But he decided at the last minute that he didn't have, and so the sacrifice works. Look at it again. Now watch where he fields this ball. And watch where the runner is. Now Durham fields it there. He's got to play at second. He's got an easy play at second base.
Yes, sir.
But he takes the sure out, picks up the second out of the inning, but the Mets have a runner in scoring position.
Talking to Hernandez about that play, he figures that go ahead and throw it to second anyway, because you can always turn the force out. It can be a 3-6-4, even if you don't get the guy at second base. Here's Dykstra, and he lifts one to right center, and Moreland is there. And he catches it for the third out. No runs, a hit, and one left for the Mets in the second. And after two, it's 2-0 New York. Now here's a word from Burger King. Top of the third inning here at Shea. The Mets against the Cubs. The Mets trying to sweep the Cubs and win their 6th straight against the Cubs. As we look at some other scores around the National League.
And the Expos 3, the Pirates 1, top of the third. Cardinals behind the Phillies 2-1, top of the third. Astros and Padres later. The Reds and Dodgers later. The Braves and Giants later. Dodgers now lead the Reds by 6. They won yesterday. Fernando Valenzuela in the mound.
Fernando leading the National League in complete games now with 13. Dwight Gooden with 12, as he recorded his 12th yesterday. I love Ron Darling. All right. Well, you got to love him the way he's been pitching this year, and you got to love this ball club the way they've been playing. They have won 12 of their last 14, 6 in a row, 27 of 34. And this big crowd on hand, that's the reason they're here. And we'll see whether George Foster plays Larry Boa shallow, like Moreland should have been playing Santana.
Number 1, shortstop Larry
Boa got a dunker in front of Foster yesterday. Boa batting .364 against the Mets this year. Ed Lynch on the mound. Little flare to left, and Santana makes the catch.
That gives you an idea of the type of hitter he is, though. When he hits it to the left side, it goes well, it doesn't go very far, let's put it like that, although Whitey Herzog said he can't hit. Boa responded and said, I got 2,200 hits. How many did you have?
I said a line drive to left. I meant to the left side. Can't beat a left and Santana coming in on the ball, can it? That might happen at Wrigley Field with the wind blowing in.
That's true.
Derek Botelho, the batter. Fouls one off the hand of Gary Carter. Mercy. I think it got umpire Fred Brocklander, too.
Well, let's check it out. See where it did get him. Got the hand behind his back, so it's not the bare hand. And it looks like it got him on the toe. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it did. Get through catching after 20 years, your feet look like bags of marbles. 0-1 to Derek Botelho. Pops this one up and out of play.
Never forget a line by George Catfish Metkovich. We were swimming one time at a private home. The lady came out and took a look at George's foot. She says, you got the ugliest feet I've ever seen. He said, lady, you'd have these kind of feet, too, if you fouled as many balls off your feet as I did.
0-2 to Botelho. Fastball outside. 1-2 to Derek. Ed Lynch with 5 complete games. Talking about complete games, what about his year?
Had only 1 complete game in his career coming into this year.
And 69 starts. An easy out for Eddie. And he has now retired 6 in a row. And the batter's going to be Bob Dernier, the leadoff batter.
center fielder Bob.
Bob struck out his first time up. There's his average against the Mets this year. One of the catalysts to this Cub offense last year. He batted .272 in the '84 season. Dernier coming over with Gary Matthews for Bill Campbell. last spring. What a deal that was for Dallas Green and the Chicago Cubs. 2-0, New York. We're in the third inning. 2 out, nobody on. 1-0.
Got to give Dallas Green an awful lot of credit for turning the Cub ball club around.
In a hurry, too.
There's Lee Smith, the big Terminator-type pitcher. He closes out ball games for the Cubs.
2-0 to Dernier.
Cubs had not won a pennant since 1945, and someone once said they had more dog teams in Chicago than the Yukon. But he turned that ball club around. And last year they won the National League East. First time they'd been in a playoff situation since 1945.
It's kind of a cute line. More dog teams in Chicago than the Yukon, huh?
That's right.
Sergeant Preston.
Sergeant Preston.
The new manager. Well, they were far from dogs last year. They had a good, solid ball club and still do, but they have just had too many injuries this year. It's really that simple. 3-1 to Dernier.
Dallas Green was quoted as saying that the pitching hasn't been the problem, that the ERA, team ERA, was the same, but I don't buy that in any way. You cannot lose all the pitching that they've lost and expect to be a tough ball club.
3-2 to Dernier. Talking about feet a while ago. Bob Dernier with that foot injury earlier in the year had to go under the knife and now has that protective sponge on his left foot. 3-2 pitch. Line drive, base hit, right field. So Dernier with the 2-out single. That'll bring up Ryne Sandberg, who grounded back to Lynch his first time up.
Lynch, second baseman, Ryne.
Well, both hits in this ball game have been sort of anything but line drive base hits. A bloop hit by Gary Matthews in the first, and that little sliced base hit right there by Dernier.
Sandberg entered the game batting .293. He leads the Cubs in home runs with 15. And he has 33 stolen bases. One of the few Cubs who are doing what they did last year, or not in the case of Sandberg because he was the MVP and had those numbers, but still a very respectable average.
Last year he batted .314 with 19 home runs, 84 RBIs, 32 stolen bases.
0-1 to Sandberg. And a slider is fouled off the foot of Sandberg, so it's 0-2. Dernier, normally a threat to run, is not that much of a threat with that foot ailment of his.
Cubs have hit 88 home runs this season, 53 at home and 35 on the road, which shows you that Wrigley Field is a good hitting ballpark, even though they claim the wind blows in more than it blows out.
It's the wealth of home runs that are hit when the wind blows out.
Yeah, they get them by the bushel there.
By the gross, huh? And a pitch out. So Carter won't buy that sponge on the foot, will he? 1-2.
Well, Dernier has 20 stolen bases, so he still runs well.
However, since his operation, he has come back and he has not stolen a base.
That should tell you something.
Mm-hmm. Not running. Ground ball by Johnson at third. Foster will have to hurry. And Zimmer's going to wave him around, and the ball gets by Foster, and Sandberg goes into third. 2-1 New York. We'll see how it's going to be scored.
Well, it's at least a double. It'll be up to the official score to determine whether or not it's a run batted in and whether or not it's an error, double and an error, or a triple. Johnson makes a good try getting the ball, and now it's a tough play, really, for Foster. He gets too close to it, and it caroms off on a different angle than George thought, and the ball gets by him. So Sandberg reaches out, hits that pitch that might have been out of the strike zone, and pulls it down the left field line.
And, you know, I think one reason George felt that he had to get close to it was because Dernier was running, and he had to get to it as fast as he could. There's Dernier scoring the first Cub run of the game, and the batter Gary Matthews, who singled his first time up.
Well, it's being scored a double and an air. So that would mean it is not a run batted in.
And we'll see if it is a run batted in.
They could do it.
They could, but usually don't. Slider, a strike on the corner. Matthews does not agree with home plate umpire Fred Brocklander. 0-2 to Matthews. One and two to Gary.
Saw Gary Carter doing a great job of catching that ball toward the center of the strike zone. The high pitch you catch down, the low pitch you catch up, the outside pitch you catch in, and the inside pitch you catch in. Get a lot of strikes that way.
Line drive, base hit, left field. So it's a tie ball game as Ed Lynch hung that slider. Gary Matthews driving in run number 23. And we're tied at 2. All of this damage coming with 2 out and nobody on.
You'll see it. The high pitch and the slider breaking right into that zone, and that ball not breaking sharply, so it's hanging and easy to hit. And Matthews, who's having an off year, gets this one and hits it well. Santana makes a good try to get to it, but he misses it by about a half a foot.
Leon Durham, who flied to center his first time up, does so once again. And Dykstra makes the catch, but the Cubs tie it up. 2 runs on 3 hits, and they strand 1. And after 2.5, we're tied at 2. Now here's a word from OTB. Well, the Philadelphia Phillies arrive at Shea for a big 4-game series beginning tomorrow night at 7:35. Mets and the Phillies meet again on Tuesday night at 7:35. And then on Wednesday, we got a treat for you. There will be a unique doubleheader here at Shea. At 6 o'clock on Wednesday evening, the wives of the Mets will try to avenge an earlier loss this season to the wives of the Phillies. That's a wives softball game at 6, followed by the regular game, of course, at 7:35. Then the homestand ends on Thursday afternoon when the Phillies return a 1:35 Senior Citizens Day contest. And that's the Phillies and the Mets Monday through Thursday for 4 games, 3 night games, and then on Wednesday the doubleheader with the wives softball game and an afternoon game on Thursday.
And fans, the revised edition of the Mets 1985 yearbook can be purchased through the mail by sending a check or money order for $5 payable to the Mets to Promotion Graphics, Department M, 160 Varick Street, New York, New York, 113. Yearbook is 112 pages of full-color photographs of your favorite Mets and includes a special 16-page feature, The History of the New York National League Championship Teams. Get your 1985 Mets yearbook today by sending a check or money order for $5 payable to the Mets to Promotion Graphics, Department M, 160 Varick Street, New York, New York, 113.
Wally Backman leads it off, bottom of the third, a 2-2 game. By the way, Ryan Sandberg credited with an RBI on that double, and I think one of the big reasons for our official scorer judging it that way was that Don Zimmer was waving Dernier around third. Guess he anticipated that he would have scored, but it would have been a close play at home, I think, had Foster come up with it. 1-0 to Backman. Derek Botelho against Ed Lynch. Cubs closing out the series today against the Mets. 1-1 to Backman.
Timmy, I was going to say, Tim, before the game, Arthur Richmond was honored by the AAA Automobile Club of New York. Special presentation to Arthur Richmond for 2 decades of assistance and support for the advancement of child pedestrian safety. And Arthur will represent the Mets in a special ceremony tomorrow when the Chicago White Sox will honor Tom Seaver.
That Artie gets around, let me tell you. Backman fouls it back a couple of years ago. He went to Cincinnati when Johnny Bench retired. You remember that, Ralph?
Where was he when you and I retired? He's going to present Seaver with an engraved sterling silver serving set. Already began as promotions director in 1965, was with the Mets throughout Seaver's tenure with the club, so he knows him well.
1-2 to Backman. Curveball, base hit, left field. So Wally Backman continues his hot hand. That's 10 in a row.
Well, this is a hanging curveball. Wally gets on it, punches it into left center field to extend his hitting streak to 10 straight. He has batted over 400 in those 10 ball games. And the Mets now have a runner at first with no one out.
And Wally hit in a career-high 12 straight back in June. He has been consistent, and speaking of consistency, Keith Hernandez the batter. Keith 0 for 1. He flied to left center his first time up. Backman diving back. We may have a hit-and-run situation here. 2-2 ball game, bottom of 3. One and 0 to Hernandez. Well, with Keith up there, it's time to play Mets trivia. As you know, Keith Hernandez, hotter than a firecracker the last 6 weeks. Finished the '84 season with a .311 batting average, the 3rd highest ever by a Met. Do you know the Met whose averages are higher than Hernandez? The 2 New York Mets with averages higher than Keith over 1 season.
There are 2, not just 1.
Well, it says, do you know the Met whose averages are higher than?
Okay,
so evidently
it's
just 1. Yeah. That was before I peeked at the answer.
You're not going to let me peek? I think I know the answer to that one.
All right, 2-0 to Hernandez. We'll tell you after Keith hits. See what Backman does. Wally has 19 stolen bases on the year.
It's not Rogers Hornsby who hit .420 one year, is it? .424?
No, it's not. No, there's Ryan Sandberg. There's the open mouth right there. So that means you got it. That open mouth means you got it. Closed mouth means me. I got it. So we'll see if Boa does indeed cover.
Would you cover the shortstop with Hernandez hitting on a hit-and-run play? I don't think I would.
On a 2-0 count, I would. I think he's more inclined to pull it right now. We'll see. There goes Backman. Boa covering. Keith fouls it off.
And he fouled it off the left field side, so he was going the other way.
Advantage Kiner.
Okay. Well, we had that one covered.
Well, we'll see if they do it again. Nobody says you can't put the hit and run on again.
Now, Keith can switch if he knows if the shortstop covered that time, he might figure he's going to cover again.
Let's see if Sandberg gives the open mouth now.
Well, if he's not going to do it, then it would be the same as the pitch before. Yeah, it is the same guy covering.
Boa covering. Line drive left field. And Matthews right there. So Kiner wins 2-0.
It ain't over yet, though, is it?
Fascinating part of the game, though, isn't it? A lot of the little things that go on. Boa now talking to Botelho. Hernandez hit it hard. And so did Gary Carter his first time up. A big 2-run homer, his 15th of the year.
One of the things the pitcher has to know here is who's going to cover second base if the ball's hit back to the pitcher.
Well, of course, you got a pull hitter up, a right-handed pull hitter up, so I would imagine Sandberg will be covering all the time.
He's a lot closer to the bag, too.
So we saw the open mouth. Let's see if we can see the closed mouth now. There it is.
Means I'll take it. Second baseman.
That was a rather definitive pucker right
Looked
there.
like he might be a cornet player or something like that.
Probably a piccolo player, huh? 2-2, 1 out. Backman at first, and there it is. Sandberg covering. Ball well hit again, left field. This ball might make it. Second home run of the afternoon for Gary Carter. Mets lead 4-2. What a rocket. Carter with home run number 16. That ties him with Darryl Strawberry.
And here it is, a fastball right down the center of the plate, and Carter gets his second home run. This is only Botelho's second start in the National League, and Strawberry got him for 2 home runs in his first, and now Carter has him for 2 home runs in his second.
And Darryl walked his first time up. No pitch was even close to the strike zone, and it's 1-0 this time. Still only 1 away, 4-2, New York. Just got under it a little bit, but he hit it well. Dernier makes the catch. So Strawberry just getting under that ball that he hit to center field. And with 2 out and nobody on, the batter, George Foster. 16th home run of the year. He has driven in all 4 runs of the Mets. And now back to that trivia question. Ralph, you thought you were going to get out of it.
I was out of it, huh?
Keith Hernandez batted .311. That's the 3rd highest average ever by a Met. He did it in '84. What is the one player that did it 2 seasons?
Leon Jones hit .330 in 1969, right?
He hit .340, but we'll give it to you.
10 points. What's 10 points? And he hit .319 in 1971.
Man, I'll tell you, you're hot. 4-0 Kiner. Man. You're hot today, pal. 1-1 to Foster. Larry Sorensen, the Chicago Cub pitcher. Chicago still having problems with their starting pitching. Foster leads the Mets in home runs with 17. Fly to center his first time up, batting .260. He's come a long way, hasn't he?
Did the same thing last year. Got off to that slow start and then came on strongly last third of the season.
This will be a fastball in. Not in far enough, but was it? They're near there. And he makes the catch. But the Mets scored 2 runs on Gary Carter's second home run of the game. He's driven in all 4. And after 3, they lead 4-2. Now here's a word from Nynex.
Well, we're going now to the top of the 4th inning. I'd like to remind you, weekday afternoons is back-to-back adventure with the return of SWAT at 4 and Vegas at 5. Don't miss the excitement right here on Channel 9. And coming in on Channel 9 for the play-by-play, Steve Zabriski.
Speaking of excitement, right, Ralph?
Absolutely.
You guys are having all the fun here today. See if we can keep it going. Keith Moreland, Jody Davis, and Ron Say to face Ed Lynch. 4-2 New York on 2 2-run homers by Gary Carter. One in the first and one in the third.
Is it true that you named your dog Stay and you drove him crazy by saying, "Come here, Stay"?
A Stephen Wright line. He is a funny man. But on the ground to short, Santana scoops it up and very quickly 1 away.
Over in the American League, the scoreboard shows the Yankees no score against the Red Sox in the top of the 2nd inning. Indians 2, Tigers 1, top of the 4th. Angels 1, Twins nothing, bottom of the 1st. Blue Jays nothing, the Royals nothing, top of the 1st. Orioles and Rangers tonight, the A's and Mariners later, and the Brewers and White Sox no score, just getting underway.
There's Jody Davis. Davis rounded to third baseman Howard Johnson back in the 2nd inning. Jody in the series 4 for 9 with 2 home runs. And he hits the first pitch, grounding it foul outside third for strike 1. Nice play by the hat. Chris Spire will take care of it. Davis has had 3 home runs in his last 3 ball games total. A little bit high, 1-1.
Phillies leading St. Louis 3-1 in the top of the 5th inning.
Slider hit on the ground to short. Again, Santana with an easy play and 2 out.
And stepping up, third baseman Ron
Well, so far, a pretty typical Ed Lynch game, at least the way Eddie's been going lately. Ron Shea hit a ball hard, one of the few that have been hard hit, lined it to Santana to end the second inning.
1 strikeout and no walks. That's typical.
Yep. And a lot of contact. No contact there, strike 1.
Shea had his 13-game hitting streak stopped. The last game the Cubs played the Cardinals, when the Cubs got only 1 hit off John Tudor.
There's one well hit and into the corner down the left field line. It'll be in there for extra bases. Foster plays the carom very well, and Shea is in at second with a double. Ron Shea's 11th double of the year.
Well, Shea was benched yesterday when Gooden was on the mound. He had been 0 for 4 against Darling and McDowell. Now gets his first hit of the series as he doubles in the left field corner, and he's now 1 for 6.
That's the 5th hit for Chicago, and all 5 hits have come after 2 were out. Larry Boa popped a short to open the 3rd inning. And a good off-speed delivery from Lynch for strike 1.
You ever notice the change of wording as you look at the Philadelphia 3, St. Louis 1 score in the bottom of the 5th now? Instead of saying a player was benched, they say he's rested. The euphemism for being benched. We're resting him.
Or we're giving him the day off. Strike 2. Used to be they'd say they're benching him or they're sitting him down for a while. Boa with a few words for home plate umpire Fred Brocklander, but that's nothing new. Just missed. Maybe the conversation gave Boa a break there. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Boa's had an outstanding career. There's no doubt about it. He is a durable ball player. Before he was being benched because of not hitting and not playing as well as he used to, he played about as many games a year as Pete Rose.
That's inside 2-2. He has now played, I think I'm correct, more games at shortstop than anybody else in the National League.
National League. He beat Rabbit Moranville's record, and that happened earlier this year. Rabbit Moranville, the inventor of the basket catch. Not many people will believe that, but he did it before Willie Mays.
Shea at second with 2 out, and 2-2 the count to Boa. Popped up and playable in foul territory for Howard Johnson. And the inning is over. 1 hit and 1 left for Chicago in the 4th. In the middle of the 4th, New York still leads it over the Cubbies 4-2. Now here's a word from Busch Beer. Bottom of the 4th inning here at Shea with the Mets up 4-2. That looks like it was computer printed right there. We have the power. 69-85. The New York Mets are number 1. That's a very nice banner. Somebody knows something about computers, I would say. Howard Johnson will lead it off the bottom of the order to face young Derek Botelho, Santana, and Ed Lynch to follow. Bojo grounded to second his first time up. That's the ball. Derek Botelho probably right now, Ralph, has the highest home runs to inning pitched ratio in the major league.
He's worked 7+ innings and he's given up 4 home runs. 2 to Strawberry and 2 to Carter. That's spread over 2 starts.
Ball 2. 2 runs on 5 hits and no errors for Chicago. The Mets have 4 runs on 4 hits and 1 error. And after this game, the Mets stay at home. Philadelphia coming in here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Popped up on the infield on the left side for Larry Boa. 1 away. And incidentally, contrary to popular belief, as Rafael Santana will be the next batter, there are lots of tickets remaining in this homestand. And I've heard some talk around town, Ralph, about people talking about how tough Mets tickets are to get. And that's really not the case. There are a lot of seats here today and a lot of tickets left for the rest of the homestand.
I think the strike caused a lot of people to back off on buying tickets, thinking they might not be able to see any baseball here. But now with the strike settled and we're in baseball again.
Lofted to center. Dernier went back and now has to come in as the wind got a hold of it. 2 away. The wind is blowing in from about, I guess, right away right now from the right field corner to the left field corner. And a lot of times during the game, in from right center. So 2 out and nobody on for Ed Lynch, who sacrificed successfully his first time up. Eddie's pretty good with that stick when it comes to bunting the ball. It's a ball outside. And a ball low. 2-0.
One of the key plays in yesterday's ball game when Dwight Gooden in a bunting situation swung away and got a base hit to set it up for the Mets to break the game open.
Check swing, strike, 2-1. That was a big play. That really opened the gates. And Dwight, another one. There's the guy who can handle the bat, Rusty Staub.
Well, the Mets winning like they are, he hasn't had a chance to be seen much.
Eddie Lynch fouls it off into the stands.
Carter got it again. Got it be earlier, and now it's Davis.
And he is in pain. That ball went down.
Off the shoulder.
Got him off the shoulder, hit the ground after that, and still caromed into the seats. So it came off that bat with some kind of force because it hit Davis, hit the ground, and still made it about 5 rows back. And that is his throwing shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Here it is. Let's see where it gets him. Well, they got him right on the shoulder cap. Strangely enough, you get hit as a catcher on foul balls more by bad hitters than by good hitters. Bad hitters that have those funny swings kind of tick it off at times. Good hitters usually hit it square and don't foul it back in that direction.
Those good hitters will hit your mitt with a foul tip more than your body. Well, Jody's going to hang in there. And it didn't look like it caught him on the meat part of the deltoid muscle. It looked more like it caught him up right on the point of the shoulder. And if so, he may want to take a throw.
Just got word that Mike Schmidt has homered for the Phillies after Virgil had hit a home run. It's now 4-1 Philadelphia over St. Louis as they go to the 6th inning.
And Shane Raleigh pitching a fine ball game, still in there for Philadelphia.
Cardinals and Mets tied for first. How you win a ball game, you think you're going to pick up ground. The Mets lost a half a game to the Cardinals yesterday.
Cardinals won a doubleheader, really pounding the Phillies in that nightcap. Eddie fouls another one back, and it's still 2-2. And Jody throwing that ball back to Botelho very gingerly. Well, that just makes your arm feel dead, too. Your whole arm is just almost like it went to sleep, in addition to the pain in your shoulder. That's going to be foul and out of play down the right field line, so it's still 2-2.
The Philadelphia Philly Met series coming up starting Monday night. We'll see Sid Fernandez on the mound for the Mets against John Denny. Tuesday, Rick Aguilera will be going against Charles Hudson. Wednesday, Ron Darling against Jerry Kuzman, and then Thursday afternoon, Dwight Gooden.
That just missed, so it's 3-2.
Pirates leading Montreal 4-3 at the top of the 5th inning.
So the Mets can hold on and win this one, get a little help from Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. They will Get some breathing room. Ed Lynch swings and misses. That is the second strikeout for Derek Botelho, and a 1-2-3 inning here in the fourth. But the Mets still lead it 4-2 over Chicago after 4. And we're back after this for the Bell Atlantic Yellow Pages. Steve Zabriski along with Ralph Kiner and Tim McCarver bringing you all the action on WOR from Shea. 4-2 New York as we go to the fifth inning. Ed Lynch has allowed just 2 runs on 5 hits. He has struck out 1, walked none, and is enjoying a lead. Ed has won 5 in a row, so he's going after his 6th win in a row. Hey, Tim. Looks like one of Tim's old baseball cards. And Tim's hoping it is a recent baseball card. Oh, there's Tim when he was a baby. A Mets fan even then. The cute-looking kid. Well, Derek Botelho is going to bat for himself to open the fifth inning, down 4-2. He grounded to third his first time up. He'll be followed by leadoff hitter Bob Dernier and then Ryne Sandberg.
Jim Frey did this in the series in Chicago. Trading in a ball game, he allowed the pitcher to stay in the ball game, even though he was behind in the fifth inning. And that would indicate that he has no confidence in his middle relief pitchers, and they have been battered very hard.
George Frazier particularly by the Mets in these last 2 series. High chopper, Santana, and 1 away. So smooth, Santana takes care of it.
August 15th is Action Park Day at Shea. Your ticket stub from the August 15th Mets game entitles you to half-price admission to Action Park throughout the 1985 season. So come to Shea and save at Action Park.
Bobby Dernier takes a little extra time, part of a leadoff hitter's responsibility to let the pitcher get back and sit down for a minute. And we've joked about it in the past. Can you imagine a guy in spring training working on that?
Pitchers get pampered all the time.
I'm a leadoff hitter. I'm stalling around because I'm working on waiting for the pitcher. Dernier 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored, and it's ball 1. Well, Eddie having a very good day and a very typical day for him. He does give up a few runs and a few hits, but his control has been impeccable as usual. Ground ball in the hole. Santana gets a nice hop. Dernier's quick, but not quick enough. 2 out.
Santana does something that veteran shortstops usually do. He usually throws you out by about a step, and this time he has to hurry. Now, he has a much stronger arm and a much stronger throw on this one because he knows Dernier can run. Now, if that had been a catcher running, he would have taken a lot more time and got the guy by that same step.
Perfect timing. Ryne Sandberg with a double, an RBI, and a run scored in 2 trips is 6 for 11 in this series. He's having a great series, but he's about the only Cub who is. And he hits it in the hole, but Howard Johnson cuts it off and throws him out, and it's 1-2-3 in the fifth for Ed Lynch and the New York Mets, who lead 4-2 after 4.5 here at Shea. We're back after this word from Burger King. Well, the crowd bouncing around to the strains of John Denver's Country Boy. And coming in for the play-by-play as we go to the bottom of the fifth. Here's a country boy born in the Outback, Arcadia, California.
No. Born in Santa Rita, New Mexico.
Oh, that's right, you were, but you grew up in Arcadia.
Yeah, in the Arcadia area, Alhambra, California.
And when you grew up in Alhambra, it was kind of country, wasn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, it isn't anymore.
Now it's been overrun by the city of Los Angeles. Great crowd again here, enjoying the game. But Ralph Kiner's a city boy now, aren't you?
I tell you, when they built the racetrack Santa Anita in Arcadia, California, everybody said it wouldn't go.
Too far away.
Another one of those great experts. They said Major League Baseball wouldn't work at L.A. No chance. It's a football town. Those experts.
Where are they now? Never been heard from since.
Well, we're going to the bottom of the 5th. Cardinals being beaten right at this point by the Phillies 4-1 in the top of the 7th inning. The Mets are leading by a score of 4-2 in the bottom of the 5th, and the leadoff batter Len Dykstra, and Len takes a called strike. Len walked in the 1st inning and was aboard when Gary Carter hit the first of his 2 home runs in the ball game. That put the Mets in front 2-0. Cubs tied it with 2 runs in the 3rd, and then the Mets got 2 runs back to go ahead 4-2 on a 2-run home run by Gary Carter with Wally Backman on base. 2 strikes to count. The Len Dykstra, who also is flat out to right.
That last pitch, an outstanding curveball by Botelho, the best he's thrown so far.
And Dykstra gets a little chin music. 1-2. Well, earlier in the ball game, we saw this pitch to Leon Durham.
Well, Dykstra's going to get these kind of pitches, especially when the pitcher's ahead 0-2, because he hangs out over the plate so much. They've got to move him back.
Grounded slowly to the second base side. Sandberg over to Durham and 1 away. New catcher in the ball game for the Cubs. Jody Davis. Yeah, Jody Davis going out after that foul tip.
And I really am not surprised, because Jody took that ball right on the point of his throwing shoulder, and you could tell he was hurting a lot. So Lake is in there.
Wally Backman.
1 away, and Wally Backman the batter. Wally singled to left field in the 3rd after striking out in the 1st. Backman extending his hitting streak to 10 consecutive ball games, and he's batting well over 400 for that period.
Steve Lake, of course, is 1/3 of Tim McCarver's favorite trio. Trout pitching, Lake catching, and Kevin Bass of Houston hitting.
Met fans, you can have it all with Michelob Light. Super premium taste in a less filling beer. Wally Backman working his batting average right up to near 300. And again, the fastball. And it's 3 balls and no strikes. The equipment manager of the New York Mets, Charlie Samuels.
Charlie apparently doesn't have the earpiece in, so he can know that he's on TV. Charlie does a great job, and that's a tough job.
Your bags will be in the lobby for the next road trip. He doesn't care about listening to the broadcast. 3-1 the count. And it's fouled away. Charlie had a terrible time in Montreal with a baseball strike. He didn't know whether to bring the luggage and the bags and the baseball equipment on down here or to keep it up there. He headed to the airport when he found out the strike was off, and then he had to get it all the way back to the ballpark and to the hotel.
But you did a great job, Chaz. You're welcome.
3-2 the count. And it's in the left center field. It will drop in. And 1 hop off the fence. Backman on his way to second base and holding there. So Wally Backman doubles to left center field.
Backman now with 6 hits in this series in 12 times up. He's batting .500 for this 3-game series. Not only does he have a 10-game hitting streak, and boy, he can drive that ball the other way. You see that ball, how quickly it went through your picture. It had a lot on it. And when Wally gets one in the gap like that, it's an automatic double, at least.
And he's in scoring position with Keith Hernandez, who before this ball game was hitting .512 with men at either second or third. Keith now with his average up to 300. That's hard to do this time of year, to raise your average 49 points. The only way you can do it is to hit 400.
That's what he's done.
And it's a fastball strike. Mets leading 4-2. 1 man out, bottom of the 5th inning.
This Backman-Hernandez combination has been extremely prodigious for the Mets. Backman has scored 32 runs in the last 31 games, mostly been driven in by Hernandez.
And a ground ball to the shortstop, Boa. He moves Backman back to second base and picks up the out at first. So now 2 men away. And Gary Carter, the batter. Carter, a home run in his first 2 times up in this ball game. He has accounted for all 4 runs for the Mets. Now batting for 3rd time.
And they don't like Gary here at all. Boy, he has quickly become such a popular player. And with good reason.
Only Jim Hickman, Dave Kingman, Claudell Washington, and Darryl Strawberry have hit 3 home runs in a game as a New York Met. Now Carter with a chance to join that illustrious group.
And as you see, he set that new record held by John Stearns with his last home run in the 3rd inning.
Only 1 National League player has had 3 home runs in 1 game this year in the National League, I said. And that would be Darryl Strawberry. 2 in the American League, Gorman Thomas and Larry Parrish. Almost a wild pitch. The count 2-1. Derek Botelho in his 2nd National League start. His first, he was greeted by Darryl Strawberry with 2 home runs. In his 2nd, he's been greeted by Gary Carter with 2 home runs. Not a very nice greeting. Slider hit down to 3rd base. Ron Say crosses over to 1st, and that retires the side. So a double, a runner left at 2nd, and the score at the end of 5. The Mets 4 and the Cubs 2. Now here's a word from Michelob Light.
Well, before we go to the 6th inning, we want to tell you about our next Mets telecast right here on WOR. It'll be Wednesday night at 7:30, 3rd game of the Philadelphia Phillies series. Be sure to join us, 7:30, immediately following News 9 primetime right here on Channel 9.
And a great crowd here at Shea on a summer day. It's the summer's game. Roger Angel picked that up so well in his outstanding book on baseball, The Summer Game. And the Mets leading by a score of 4-2 with Gary Matthews to lead off for the Cubs. Matthews 2 for 2 in the game.
And that after really struggling against New York this year.
The Sarge, they call him, and the first pitch right on the block. Take charge guy. Started his career with the San Francisco Giants. Rookie of the Year his first year with that Giant ball club. Ground ball to the shortstop, Santana. Now Hernandez. 1 away.
Here's the National League scoreboard. 6th inning, Pittsburgh leading Montreal 5-3. 7th inning now in the bottom of the 7th. St. Louis trailing Philadelphia 4-1. Everything else is later. Atlanta at San Francisco, Houston at San Diego, and Cincinnati at Los Angeles.
Now the batter for the Cubs will be Leon Durham, who has flied out to the center fielder Len Dykstra his first 2 times up. Mets leading 4-2. 1 away, top of the 6th inning. And the fastball.
Lynch and Carter have really worked intelligently to Leon Durham, I think, Ralph. They've kept the ball away from him. They've kept the ball in a place where he couldn't really hammer it.
There's a good example of it right there.
The pitches he's fouled off have generally, except for one, I think, all been out of play to the left side. And he's fouled off quite a few of them trying to reach him.
Mets are playing him as a pull hitter because Ed Lynch does not have overpowering stuff. Usually they play Durham straight away. But Lynch pitching against the defense. He's pitching outside, but the defense shifted for inside pitches. There's a drive to second baseman Wally Backman.
Well, if you're with us before the game and heard Jim Frye's comments about the Mets, you heard him say how much improved he felt Backman was defensively. And he's not the only one who feels that way. Wally has worked so hard to improve his skills, and boy, he has had a great season. Not only lately red hot at the plate, but he's played a terrific second base.
So 2 men away, and the batter will be Keith Moreland, who also is 0 for 2 in this game. Off-speed pitch for ball 1. Moreland 0 for 2 today. Coming into this game, he was batting .340 against Mets pitching this year. And a hard smash base hit up the middle. So Moreland picks up his first base hit number 6 for the Cubs. Mets leading 4-2.
Number 16.
And it brings up Steve Lake batting for the first time.
And again, a 2-out base hit. All of Chicago's base hits have come with 2 out, and that's one of the reasons that Ed Lynch has been so successful.
Boy, he's got the percentages on his side. You could call him Las Vegas if you wanted to today. And the first pitch, a good play on it by Carter. Lake hitting 130 for the year with 1 home run, 8 runs batted in. He's a fine defensive catcher, but with Davis out of the lineup, they lose a ton of offense. Davis, an outstanding hitter, power hitter type with 12 home runs. And this one has popped up into shallow center. A long run for Dykstra, but he hauls it in. So 1 hit and 1 left. The score at the end of 5.5 innings. The Mets 4 and the Cubs 2. Now here's a word from R.C. Cola. Mets enjoying the ball game. Got a crowd up there. We've got another great crowd on hand here today. The Mets will break last year's attendance mark here today. Well on their way to breaking the all-time attendance mark set back in 1970 of around 2,800,000. So it'll be Darryl Strawberry to lead off. Darryl hitless today. He has flied out to center field in his 1 official at bat. Walked on 4 pitches his first time up. Darryl brings a modest 4-game hitting streak into this game, batting .600 over the 4 games with 9 hits and 4 home runs. And the first pitch a little bit low.
To show you how locked in he has been over the last month, Darryl in the last 32 games has hit .342 and driven in 32 runs.
And Derek Botelho misses with that curveball, and the count 2 balls, no strikes. Strawberry got Botelho for 2 home runs back last Monday. That was at Wrigley Field. He went on to have 3 in the ball game. And the fastball fouled off. When Darryl flied out to center field in the 3rd inning, it was a major league fly ball. It was up there above the flagpole. Just did miss hitting it out of the ballpark.
And that's an indication oftentimes of how well you're swinging, the manner in which you make an out.
He got it on the good part of the bat, but just a shade behind it, and he hit it high in the air. The fastball for ball 3. 3 balls, 1 strike. Strawberry with 16 home runs. Carter with 16 home runs, and the leader, Foster, on deck with 17 as far as the Mets are concerned. And the fastball foul back. The major league leader in home runs is Dale Murphy with 29. Pedro Guerrero has 28. Dave Parker 21. Clark has 20. Horner has 20. Schmidt has 19 now, 1 today. And then Foster. Tell you one thing, that Willie McGee is going to lead the National League in hitting. He's batting .351. Had 7 hits yesterday in the doubleheader.
He's unbelievable.
And that's ball 4, so Strawberry walks for the 2nd time. Rick Aguilera.
And what a great job Aguilera has done for the Mets. Called up under difficult circumstances with the injuries to the pitching staff, and he has just been outstanding.
Even Mother Nature was against him. The first time he was called up, the game was rained out, and he was sent back.
That's right.
Only rainout the Mets have had. George Foster, the batter. George has flied out twice, and Strawberry draws the throw. Pretty good move over there by Botelho. Strawberry with a stolen base after reaching on a walk in the 1st inning. The Mets' 81st stolen base. Strawberry running, not a good jump. Lake has a great arm, and Strawberry is out. So Darryl Strawberry is gunned out by Steve Lake, who can throw exceptionally well.
And lately, Lake has been almost unbeatable. He gets a pretty good pitch right here up in the strike zone. Swung and missed on by Carter. But you can see Sandberg took the throw well to the first base side of the bag and was able to tag him out very easily.
So no one on now as Foster will get his next pitch from the windup, and the breaking ball is grounded foul.
Steve Lake has now thrown out 12 of the last 22 runners attempting to steal against him.
That is a very fine percentage. Average stolen base percentage is around 65%. So if you throw out 35% of the runners, you're doing well. He's up around 50. Mets have been successful 69% of the time on their stolen base attempts. The Cubs have been successful 78% of the time, but mainly because of Davey Lopes, who has a 95% success rate.
That's right. He's only been caught 3 times.
1-2 the count to George Foster. Lopes at 39 has stolen more bases than anybody in the history of Major League Baseball at that age. 41.
And he is second in the league to Vince Coleman. He won't catch Coleman. There's Davey.
Couldn't catch Coleman with a rocket.
He and McGee going into today tied for second at 41, and Davey's stolen those 41 out of 44 attempts.
Coleman with 77 stolen bases going in this year set a new rookie record with his 73rd stolen base, breaking the record set by Juan Samuel yet last year when he had 72. 1-2 the count. Derek Botelho on the mound, his second National League start. He pitched in the American League briefly. And it's a broken bat base hit to right field. Foster making the turn at first base and holding there as Moreland, who has a gun, guns it in. It's cut off to throw to first, not in time. So Foster singles for his first hit. And the Mets have a runner on with 1 out.
In the American League, the Yankees leading Boston 1-0 in the 4th. In the bottom of the 6th, Cleveland leads Detroit 2-1. Top of the 4th, California leads Minnesota 2-0. It's Chicago leading Milwaukee in the 3rd 3-0. In the 2nd inning, Kansas City leads Toronto 1-0. And later on, it'll be Baltimore at Texas and Oakland at Seattle.
In the American League, Toronto leading the Yankees by 7 games, Detroit by 10, Boston by 12, Baltimore by 13.5. And now Howard Johnson bounces it over the head of the first baseman, Leon Duran. It gets by Moreland. Foster is being waved in. Moreland has trouble picking it up. The throw comes into the center of the infield. And as Johnson slides into third, Foster scores on the air. And the Mets lead by a score of 5-2.
This high chopper gets by both infielders and has a lot of overspin on it when it kicks out into the outfield. Now watch Keith Moreland. He took his eye off the ball. He knew that he had a play on Foster at third base, and he wanted to come up firing. The only problem is he came up without the ball in his glove and had to turn and go get it. By that time, Johnson on third easily and Foster in the dugout.
Breathing hard.
Yeah.
So the Mets lead by a score of 5-2 in the air. No RBI for Howard Johnson. He gets credit for a single. And now with a runner at third, Rafael Santana, the batter, and the infield in by the Cubs. And a line drive to center field. It drops in for a base hit. Good base running by Howard Johnson, who went back to tag up. And he comes in to score easily, and the Mets are leading 6-2 as Santana gets his second hit of the ball game and a run batted in.
For Santana, his 22nd RBI of the year. And boy, you're right, Ralph. An excellent job of base running by Hojo. This ball hit on the line, and Dernier with great speed. So Johnson holding up, and he has better than average speed himself. And when he saw it drop in, he scored easily and might have been able to score even if it had been caught.
Now Ed Lynch in a bunting situation. He takes for ball 1. Lynch has sacrificed 1 time in the game. He also has struck out. And Lynch swinging away, hits a fly ball to right. Moreland right there. 2 men away. Santana back to first. And that will bring up Len Dykstra.
Well, Ed tried to cross him up a la Dwight Gooden.
Stepping up.
Almost got away with a base hit.
Dykstra in this game is 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. He also has had a stolen base. Dykstra scoring the first run of the ball game ahead of Gary Carter's 2-run home run in the first inning. And Santana back at first base. Mets leading 6-2, 2 men out, bottom of the 6th inning.
8th inning, bottom of the 8th. Philadelphia still leading St. Louis 4-1.
And a fly ball to center field. Denier is right there. And that'll retire the side. But the Mets pick up 2 runs on 3 hits. There was 1 error and 1 man left on base. And the score at the end of 6. The Mets 6 and the Cubs 2. Now here's a word from the good Olds guys.
Good vibrations at Shea, to say the least, as the Mets lead at 6-2 over the Cubbies in the final of this 3-game series. And we invite you to join host Carol O'Connor for a fascinating portrait of 20th century America. Don't miss Years of Danger, Years of Hope, the post-war world, Thursday night at 9 on Channel 9. And as we go to the top of the 7th inning, back in as always here at home to work the final 3 with me, Tim McCarver.
All right, Steve, Ron Shea leads it off here in the 7th with the Mets leading 6-2. And 2 has been the magic number. The Mets scored 2 in the first. The Cubs tied it with 2 in the third. The Mets bounced back with 2 in the bottom of the third, and they scored 2 in the 6th. Ron Shea has doubled in line to short. He's hit the ball well twice. Entered the game batting only .223. Slider lifted the other way. Strawberry will have to hurry. And he makes the catch. That ball had a lot of hang time. Oh, Darrell just covers the ground so smoothly. One out.
The wind really hurt Shea on that ball because the wind blowing in from the right field corner kept that ball in play. Ordinarily, it would have been in the stands.
Larry Boa, the batter. Larry 0 for 2 on the afternoon. And 1 to Larry Boa. Ground ball right side. Backman to Hernandez. Had a little tough time getting it out of his glove. They finally got it to just get the hustling Boa.
Looked like the ball hit in a footprint or something and took a little funny hop on Wally at the last second. Kind of bounced behind him a little bit, as you see up by his right shoulder. And then he slipped it, but got a good enough grip on it to make a good throw.
You got to give Boa credit. You can say what you want to about Larry Boa and his irascible attitude, but he gives 100% every time he's out there. Running hard on a routine grounder. Billy Hatcher is going to be the pinch hitter for pitcher Derek Botelho.
Billy Hatcher was just yesterday recalled from Iowa.
Slider inside, 1-0.
As you saw, hitting .280 with a homer and 6 RBIs in his previous stint this year with the Cubs. He has no at-bats officially as a pinch hitter.
Fastball is low, 2-0. Ed Lynch has yet to walk a Cub. He has struck out 1. That was Bob Dernier to lead off the game. Ron Meredith, who was in the game for 5 innings on Friday night, will probably be the pitcher in the 7th inning. Fastball inside, so 3-0 to Billy Hatcher.
At Iowa, Hatcher was hitting .280, 5 homers and 19 RBIs, and he had 17 stolen bases.
Well, the fastball is low, so Ed Lynch walks the first batter of the ball game. Ed Lynch has walked more than 2 only 1 time this year. That was July 31st against the Expos when he came back from his stomach ailment. Bob Dernier, the batter. Mets with a 4-run lead. Now, you'll see Keith Hernandez at first playing a different kind of hold-on game for the Mets with a 4-run lead. There he is. Slider misses.
Now it's the top of the 9th in Philadelphia, and the Phillies still lead St. Louis 4-1. Shane Rawley still in that game.
Dernier fouls it away, 1-1. We bring that point up about Hernandez at first because in Friday night's game, Leon Durham holding on pitcher Roger McDowell was the key to the Mets win. But watch how Hernandez will kind of trickle off there. He's got such tremendous range. Now, he's really not holding the runner right there. And Dernier fouls it back, so it's 1-2 to Bob.
And the big difference here, too, Tim, is that the Cubs have a right-handed hitter up. Whereas when Durham was holding the runner on, the Mets had a left-handed hitter up, which is even a bigger mistake.
That's right. With Dykstra, of course, Jim Fry said in the paper that he was anticipating a bunt from Dykstra, but you could play just like Hernandez is playing now. Slider misses, 2-2. Of course, you can do so many things with Hernandez that you can't do with a lot of other first basemen.
Most other first basemen.
6-2 Mets lead. Top of the 7th, 2 out. Hatcher at first. Ground ball, base hit to left field. Hatcher stops at second. And with 2 out and 2 on, the batter will be Ryan Sandberg. They might see activity for the Mets in their bullpen.
That's the 7th hit for Chicago. Carter going out to talk to Lynch and Hernandez. And the bullpen begins to stir. All 7 hits still have come after 2 out.
You picked up on that a couple of innings ago. That is amazing. Roger McDowell is the one who got the call.
And the reason that that's a good point is that obviously it's a whole lot tougher to score with 2 out than it is at any other point in the ball game, and particularly if those base hits are singles, and except in one case, which was in the 4th inning when Ron Cey had a 2-out double, every 2-out hit, the first hit at least, has been just a single.
You just have to play a passive game with runners on base with 2 out. You can't hit and run. You may run and hit. You may try to steal a base. Sandberg 1 for 3. 1-0. Six and 2/3. He's given up 2 runs. He's walked only 1, struck out 1, and that is a typical Ed Lynch game. He's won 5 in a row. His last loss coming back on June 28th when the Cardinals beat him 3-2. Slider and a beauty, 1-1. Ed, no doubt, has been helped also by the other types of pitchers that the Mets have.
It's true. He is such a departure from the norm as far as the rest of the rotation goes.
2-1.
Ed is anything but a strikeout pitcher. He's more of a contact pitcher. And with Darling and Gooden and Fernandez out there blowing people away more often than not, it's really to his advantage and to the ball club's advantage.
Yes, it is. Kind of like Joe Niekro working in that starting rotation along with Nolan Ryan of the Astros. Ground ball to short. Santana over to Backman. So that'll do it for the Cubs in the 7th. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 2 left. After 6.5, it's 6-2 New York. Now here's a word from Coca-Cola.
If you've always dreamed of being in the big leagues, live that fantasy next February. Play with and against former Mets at Dream Week in St. Petersburg, Florida.
This was the most fantastic week I've ever spent anywhere.
I wish I could stay here forever.
It was a dream come true.
For information, call 718-507-METS. And in addition to that, Sunday, August 25th is Swing Line Back to School Day here at Shea when the Mets and the Padres meet at 1:35. All fans 15 and under will receive a flexible 3-ring binder from the Mets and Swing Line, the #1 stapling company in the world. And as an added bonus, fans 15 and under will receive an 8x10 1985 Mets team picture, courtesy of All Channel Satellite of Queens, who sell and install satellite receivers. That's Back to School Day, Sunday afternoon. The Mets and the Padres at Shea at 1:35. 3-ring binders to all fans 15 and under from the Mets and Swing Line.
Now pitching, batting ninth, number 38, Ron Meredith.
Well, Ron Meredith, the new pitcher, as we said, he worked 5 innings in Friday night's game. Pitched quite well, even though he gave up 3 runs. The Mets hit him rather hard, but it's the bottom line that counts. He gave up 3 runs, 2 of which were earned in 5 innings. What else you got, pal?
Well, he kept him in the ball game. He's worked 22 2/3. He does not have a save this year. This is his 12th appearance, and as you see, he has walked 8 and struck out 12 while giving up 30 hits, 10 earned runs, and only 2 home runs so far.
And Ron will be facing the numbers 2, 3, and 4 hitters. Wally Backman, Keith Hernandez, and Gary Carter. The Mets lead 6-2. Final in Philadelphia, and a hoop from the crowd.
Philadelphia has defeated the St. Louis Cardinals 4-1. Shane Rawley goes the distance to pick up the victory. And right now, Pittsburgh leading Montreal 5-3, bottom of the 7th. And Wally having another great day at the plate.
Closing in on that 300 mark. Wally at 297 now.
So the Mets hold on and win this ball game. They'll be a full game ahead of the Cardinals in the National League East.
And a breaking ball for a strike. We understand that if Wally Backman does get a hit this time up, he will be right at 300. Jesse Orozco and Tom Gorman throwing, a couple of lefties. Ball hit well to left field. Matthews over, and he makes a fine catch. Well, they got him out, but Wally didn't make it easy on him, did he?
Took a fine play by Gary Matthews, who went a long way for this ball. They're not playing Wally really as a pull hitter, batting right-handed, but he pulls this ball almost down the line. And as you see, Matthews on the track before he can haul it in. Nice play by Gary.
So the Sarge hauls it in. And the unofficial captain of the Mets, I guess you could say. Davey Johnson doesn't have any captains, but sure, if he had one, this guy might be it. Might my eye, right?
Well, you're not wrong to call him the leader, that's for sure.
He, along with Gary Carter, of course, George Foster, Darryl Strawberry. Mets have had a lot of leaders the last 2 months. 0-2.
Meredith was really tough on Hernandez the other night, Friday night, in the 5 innings that he worked. Keith did not get a base hit, nor do I think get a ball out of the infield against him.
Brian Sandberg made one fine play off Keith. Breaking ball, he held up in time, 1-2.
The paid crowd here today, 40,311. There's quite a bit more than that total in the house, but the series now has drawn just a few under 133,000 fans for this 3-game series. Man. The Mets now 1,855,000 paid.
Breaking ball, grounded to second. Sandberg to Durham, 2 out. And if you'll remember that last Cubs series here, the 4 single games, Mets and the Cubs drew about 150,000 for those 4 games. So the Mets and the Cubs have drawn, what, 280,000 for 7 single games this year?
It's amazing. More than 250,000 fans for 7 games. Look at that. 26 home runs for Carter for his career, 5 of them now this year with his 2 dingers today.
Nowhere near Mike Schmidt, who has 64 home runs career against the Cubs, 42 at Wrigley Field. 1-0 to Carter. By the way, Mike Schmidt and the Phillies will be in for 4 single games, 3 night games Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 7:35 and 1:35 Thursday afternoon. 2-0 to Carter.
And we've said it before, but imagine, as you look at Lee Smith in the Chicago bullpen, how many home runs Schmidt would hit in his career if he played at Wrigley.
Schmidt had a home run today in that game, a solo shot, his 19th of the year. 2-1 to Carter. Change up outside. So Meredith appears to be pitching carefully to Carter with Strawberry on deck. Breaking ball is outside, so Carter walks.
One of the more intentional, unintentional walks you'll see.
Mr. Meredith may have forgotten that Strawberry homered against him. That was his third homer in that game in which he had 3 home runs. Nah, he didn't forget.
Pitcher forgets someone who hit a home run off of him?
Choose your poison, right? Carter or Strawberry?
That's it.
1-0. 23 games over 500, and that's their biggest margin since they were 162 back in 1969. 2-0 to Darrell. Strawberry waited long enough as Meredith was shaking off Steve Lake, the catcher. Now we'll do it again, says Steve. Fastball outside. But it missed. 3-0.
Well, I would imagine that the big guy will be turned loose here.
Even against a left-hander, I agree. But he takes the strike. A pitch that he probably would have taken anyway. Darrell has walked twice in the ball game and flied to center. And as Ralph and you were talking about earlier, major league of fly ball.
Oh. That ball was up there for so long, the shortstop could have run out there to the warning track and caught it.
Big league pop-up.
Yeah.
Carter will be off 3-2. 2 out. Breaking ball got him. So Meredith goes to the breaking ball. His first strikeout. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 left after 7. 6-2 New York. Now here's a word from Nissan. Top of the 8th inning, 6-2 ball game, and Stevie, my boy, the Mets continue to play good baseball, don't they?
Doing it all.
They really are.
Offense, defense. And what has made the difference, I think, more than anything else, is that a handful of guys have all gotten hot at the same time. And that's really what you need to make a run, the way the Cardinals have been playing. It's taken that for the Mets to get to first place. And now they have a chance to be back in there by themselves.
Yeah, it seems like every time you look at the note sheet, it says that over the last 30 games or over the last 35 games, all the hitters have started over 35 games. And they have really been contributing. Gary Carter with a couple of home runs in today's ball game. And then a misplayed ball in right field that led to 2 runs in the 6th. Mets up 6-2. Gary Matthews, the batter. 1-0. Gary 2 for 3 with an RBI in the afternoon. And he fouls one back. 1-1 to Gary Matthews.
Incidentally, in that Philadelphia-St. Louis game, Bob Forsch was the losing pitcher and Shane Raleigh the winner.
Second time that Raleigh has beaten the Cardinals this year. 2 in a row. Low throw, scooped up nicely by Hernandez. 1 away. Howard Johnson doing a little pirouette at third base, huh?
It looked like the ball took a funny hop off the edge of the grass right before the cut out of the infield. You see it go up, and Hojo stays with it. And then Howard, with a little sidearm flip, causes Hernandez to do a little overtime work.
And Leon Durham, the batter. Leon 0 for 3. He has hit the ball well, however. Flied to center, line to center, and line to second baseman Wally Backman on a super play. 2-0 to Leon Durham. Ed showing signs of tiring over the last couple of innings. He's not ahead of the hitters like he was earlier in the game. Durham fouls it back. 2-1 to Leon Durham. Carlton Fisk, his 30th home run.
New leader in the major leagues. That's one more than Dale Murphy in the National League.
Going for the record in home runs as far as catchers are concerned. Durham pops it up. Johnson in, calling off Carter. 2 out. Well, fans, August 15th is Action Park Day at Shea. Your ticket stub from the August 15th Met game entitles you to half-price admission to Action Park throughout the 1985 season. So come to Shea and save at Action Park. Keith Moreland 1 for 3 on the afternoon. Ed Lynch trying to win his 10th game of the year. Strike one, 0-1.
Eddie credits a real good off-season weight program with his additional strength and stamina this year, but he has admitted the last few times out that he has gotten tired in the 8th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings.
The muggy July and August days, 1-1 to Moreland. You do that during the middle of the season. You get that little down period because of the weather, and then you are revived the last couple of weeks in August. Cue shot, foul. 1-2 to Keith Moreland.
Eddie, for the most part, has had great success with the breaking balls away to right-handed hitters today. He's had them cueing them off the end of the bat, fouling them the other way. Really had good location and movement with those breaking pitches.
Ball hit well to right center. Dykstra over. Man, he gets a good jump on the ball. He came from nowhere on that one to catch the liner off Moreland's bat. An easy inning for Ed Lynch, and he needed it in this hot weather. And after 7.5, it's 6-2 New York. Now here's a word from the good old guys. Well, the bottom of the 8th inning with the Mets up 6-2 and several changes for the Cubs. In right field, the new right fielder, Gary Woods. There's Gary with his glasses ready to be adjusted. First baseman Keith Moreland now moving from right field to first base. So Leon Durham is out of there. And the new pitcher, Lee Smith. It's rather unusual, Steve, to see Lee Smith come in to a ball game in this situation with the Cubs trailing by 4.
He is usually saved for save opportunities, but he doesn't have them here, and that's an indication, too, of how important Jimmy Fry feels it is to try to win at least one game in this series. He's 5-4, and those 23 saves have come in 29 opportunities this year. Lee's 47th appearance of the season in 72 innings. He's walked 29, struck out 84, well than one more per inning. He's allowed 5 home runs and a total of 25 earned runs. He is second in the National League in saves to the leader, Jeff Reardon of Montreal, who has 29. Lazy, hazy, crazy days of summer. We got one here. It's hazy, lazy, muggy, whatever you want to call it. No moisture has precipitated to the ground as yet, but there is a threat of showers this afternoon. And George Foster will lead it off as the Mets lead at 6-2 going to the bottom of the 8th inning, and in good shape for a sweep of the Cubbies in this 3-game series. And that would put Chicago 12 games back.
Every time I hear that song, I think of the '64 season when that song was going strong, Nat King Cole. And they took that was kind of our song in the Cardinal clubhouse, and they took it away from us. And you know what song they replaced it with? If you can believe it, our theme song the last 3 weeks was Pass the Biscuits, Miranda.
Never heard of it.
Pass the biscuits, Miranda. You never heard of that?
No. It must have worked.
It was such an old song. As George Foster will try to bridge the gap. I don't think anybody hit one that far. It was such an old song that it was the theme song of the Cardinals back in the 1946 season. And Musial, who was just retired for a year, had it installed as the Cardinals, and so we won the pennant. So I guess it worked.
Yep, you adopted the right tune.
Yep.
I'm sure it had a whole lot to do with it, too. Foster 1 for 3, takes the ball. George singled to right and scored in the 6th inning.
That is not that inspiring a tune past the Biscuits Miranda.
No, I just found that hard to believe.
You don't want to go out and beat up on people once you... it's not like the Notre Dame fight song or anything.
No.
Yeah?
It's like one time when I was playing football, we got this great pep talk. We went charging out to go out on the field, and the doors were locked. So we had to wait around for about 15 minutes while they found a guy with a key. By that time, all the air was out of our sails. Check swing on the breaking ball. Smith falls down trying to barehand it, but Boa just does get Foster at first base. Well, I tell you, I want to register that on the Richter scale.
Yeah, and Lee Smith is glad that he didn't make contact, because had he done that, he would have deflected it. Whoa! That'll be on This Week in Baseball. He hit that dirt in a hurry and hard, too.
He's dirty from head to toe. So it goes 6-3 on the ground out. One away for Howard Johnson, who also has singled and scored in 3 trips. Mojo takes a strike on the outside corner. Johnson is 3 for 7 in this series. And there you see his statistics. Right-handed and left-handed. Another half swing and a foul ball. 0-2.
Whenever you get a check swing off a guy like Lee Smith, it's got to be a breaking ball. There's Ed Lynch. Hit him in the coconut. Right on top of the coconut.
Oh, that's all he needs after going 8 innings in this humidity.
Too tired to duck. Just let it hit me. Why not?
You might not have even seen it coming. That's outside. 1-2. 6 runs on 8 hits and 1 error for the Mets. 2 runs on 7 hits and 1 error for the Cubs. Low and away, 2-2. And the Cubs have not scored since the 3rd inning. Ed Lynch has done an outstanding job. He's given up just 3 base hits since the 3rd inning. 3-2 now. One out, nobody on here at the bottom of the 8th inning. Grounded foul. Still 3-2. Took a tall guy to corral that one.
Cubs needed a taller first baseman the last time Howard Johnson was batting, too. That high chopper over the head of Durham. With Foster on first base, George going all the way to 3rd. And little did he know that Moreland had dropped the ball. It went by him, and he came all the way around to score.
Driven to center field, but not deep enough. Dernier through the glasses and 2 away.
Well, folks, you can have it all with Michelob Light. Super premium taste and a less filling beer. Nice day for a Michelob Light. Might get a few showers here, pal.
It's looking that way, isn't it? Santana with a good day, 2 for 3, 2 singles, and RBI. Wrapping the series is 3 for 7. Sisk, and now Terry Leach in the Mets bullpen. Strike called, 0-1. Ed Lynch is scheduled up next, of course. That's fouled away, 0-2. Santana, not counting his 2 for 3 today, hitting .302 over the last 16 games. And coming into this ball game, the Mets over the last 32 games as a team, hitting .299, 31 homers and 200 runs scored. Check swing, and the breaking ball just missed. 1-2.
That's an average of 6.5 runs a game.
And there's strike 3 called. So Lee Smith strikes out 1, faces just 3 batters in the 8th inning, working in relief. And we will go to the 9th inning with the Mets leading at 6-2 over the Cubs after this for Michelob Light.
Join Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari for the comedy hit Bosom Buddies at a new time, weeknights at 7, right here on Channel 9.
And speaking of 9, it's the 9th inning at Shea. The Mets are going for their 7th win in a row. It would also be 13 out of 15 and 28 out of 35. On the other side of the coin, the Cubbies are standing to lose their 7th in a row. And Thad Bosley is going to be the pinch hitter for Steve Lake, leading off the 9th inning. Bosley, number 1 in the National League with 12 pinch hits. And as you see, hitting .333 on the year. His pinch hitting average is even better than that. Foul back. Well, now his pinch hitting average is exactly .333 as well, as in this series he has gone 0 for 2.
The interesting thing about this move, should the Cubs tie it or go ahead, Keith Moreland will be the catcher in the bottom of the 9th. As the Cubs are out of catchers, Jody Davis leaving because of an injury and Steve Lake being pinch hit for.
Swing and a miss. 0-2. Look at that. 23 complete games. The most since 27 and 77, and Ed Lynch going for his 6th complete game here in the 9th inning. That's fouled away. Still 0-2. Bosley scheduled to be followed by Ron Cey and Larry Boa. One and 2 now. If the Mets hold on and win this game with a 4-run lead here in the 9th, they will be 37 and 18 at home. That's about a 70% winning percentage at home. 2-2 now.
Another note of interest, if Ed Lynch completes this game, it'll be 2 days in a row that the Mets pitchers have had complete games, and the Cubs, on the other hand, haven't had a complete game since June 30th. So it's truly the tale of 2 teams here today.
That's out of play, still 2-2. I found Davey Johnson's one comment, I found his entire set of comments interesting, but the one comment that stood out in the pregame interview when Davey said that the Cubs went for the quick fix last year, and they're paying the price now because they really, unlike the Mets, don't have those young players to bring up. Skied high and deep to right. Strawberry looks like he has room, and he does. Just short of the wall, 1 away. And it has really hurt Chicago when Matthews and some of the veteran players are out. Ron Cey not having a good year. He's 1 for 3 with a double in this ball game, but only 1 for 7 in this series. And as we mentioned earlier, has only 1 home run in the last 52 games. I guess you'd have to say 53 games now, counting today. And 2 home run or 2 RBIs. Only 2 RBIs in the last 49 games. And that, plus the injuries to the pitching staff, have really brought Chicago down. Breaking ball just misses. Ball 1.
Give you an idea of how the Mets have used their farm system. Joe McIlvaine told me that the roster in Tidewater and the roster in New York
1-1.
have players of those 48 players. 15 of them have at least spent 1 day with the Mets and with Tidewater. So they have been going back and getting their young players.
A lot of folks. This one's hit the right center again, but Strawberry's over, 2 away. So Eddie obviously a bit tired, but hanging in there.
That's all right. Hit it as far as you can. That's the approach he's taking right now with a
That's right.
4-run lead.
Heck yeah, he can't hit a 4-run home run with nobody on base. Richie Hebner is going to pinch hit for Larry Boa. And the Hacker, second in the National League with 11 pinch hits. And the leader in pinch hit RBIs in the National League with 12. And as you see, hitting .324 on the year. 2 out, nobody on, 9th inning, 6-2 New York. And he rips one, but Hernandez gets it on one hop to Lynch. The game is over. The Mets have won 7 in a row, and Ed Lynch is now 10-5. Ed's 6th straight victory and 6th complete game of the year. An outstanding performance by Lynch, and the Mets as a ball club are in first place by a full game over the St. Louis Cardinals, who lost today. The loser is Derek Botelho, the young starter who is now 0-2. And New York not only has won 7 in a row, but 13 of the last 15 and 28 of their last 35 ball games. Tim and I will be back to wrap it up. Ralph standing by with another edition of Kiner's Corner. Stay with us here at Shea, where the Mets have swept the Cubs and won this final game by a score of 6-2. We're back after this for the Good Olds guys.